It's always a good idea when you're filling out financial aid forms to fill them out as soon as you can after the form is released. The form usually comes out the 1st of January. It's not a bad idea to get it filled out even if you don't have your taxes done. You can make an estimate. It says, is this based on a real tax return or is this an estimate? Just put it's an estimate. And the reason you want to do that is it gets you in the financial aid line early, particularly for ongoing students. You want to line up for the aid as early as you can because people in the front of the line usually get the best aid. They're the people that get the grants and the scholarships. The people in the back of the line get a lot of loans and self-help aid. So it's a good idea, everything else being equal, to be in the front of the line every year. There's something called a home value estimator. The profile form requires that you put in the value of your house, and there's a special formula. It doesn't apply to you yet, but one of the reasons I bring it up is it will be available for you on a website that we're building. And part of this afternoon's session will be on that website. It's called iFindr, and there'll be some tools on there that will include the home value estimator. It's a free site, so you're not going to pay anything for it, but it's going to be a terrific site, and it'll be up and running probably at the end of the fall. But we'll have a kind of a practice website, and some of this information may be available on that practice website while we're building out the full site. You're going to love it. They ask you about the value stuff, like the value of your business. Don't ever brag about anything on this form. If you have to, when you're filling out a FAFSA or a profile, you have a mantra, have something in your ear saying something, poverty is a virtue or failure is good, whatever you want to do, but keep reminding yourself you're not applying for a cheaper mortgage, you're applying for financial aid, which requires a tinge of poverty. So keep thinking about that. Never, ever brag, but of course don't lie on the form either. So it goes both ways. Be prepared to negotiate with your financial aid administrator. The financial aid administrator is the person who handles this stuff. It's a terrible job. In fact, if any of your kids says, Mom, Dad, I figured out what I want to be, what is it? I want to be a financial aid administrator at college. Get them in therapy instantly. It's a terrible job. Those people are heroes. They are modern alchemists. If you have to negotiate, you've got to be the nicest person you've ever been. They deserve it. It's a really, really tough job. Talk about unsung heroes. Financial aid administrators across this nation are unsung heroes. Never, ever pick a fight with a financial aid administrator because you'll lose. They can't wait for you to make them hate you, because then a no is an easier no. If you pick a fight, it's like a shootout at the OK Corral, and you're standing there naked as the day you were born, and across the corral comes your opponent, draped with ammunition, bristling with guns. If you're so stupid as to say draw, you deserve to die. What's your only weapon? Your only weapon is to be such an overwhelmingly wonderful person that your opponent drops their guns, uses their arms to embrace you, not to kill you. So you have to be nice, you have to be patient, you have to be understanding, you have to be flexible, you have to be persistent. Just be all those things and be prepared to be persistent. And you and the administrator might be able to work together to improve your financial aid award. If you think you can make headway with a lot of testosterone, you are sorely mistaken. So you really have to get, if there's two parents, get the one who behaves better to be the negotiator. And I need to tell you something, that from time to time, if you're in the financial aid stuff, from time to time, your son or daughter is a representative of your family. And they're going to have to interact with this financial aid administrator. So you better tell them to behave. Somebody very close to me in my family when she was in high school, she had a classic eye roll, shoulder turn, and sigh, which when done simultaneously gave a very clear two-word message, and it wasn't good morning. And I said, oh my gosh, she's going to interact with a financial aid administrator. So we talked about that, and she was great. She had all the moves. She even found out when the financial aid administrator's birthday was and showed up with a long stem rose. In our initial negotiation, this family with the financial aid administrator, their original offer was $7,500, mostly self-help aid. So they went to work, and they worked with the financial aid administrator for about the next 3 months. The final offer was $17,500, mostly grants. Was it a lot of work? Yep. Was it a pain in the neck? Yep. Was it time-consuming? Yep. Would I rather been doing something else? Of course. Was it worth it? You bet it was. And when you do that negotiating, it's really a good idea to do that the first year, because whatever you do the first year is going to serve as a template for all 4 years. So it's worth going to the mat that first year and really working hard to make that a good offer. Let's see. A lot of people go through this kind of thing. Your kid's off at college, you've got a nice financial aid package, and you've been invited by Los Altos or Mountain View High School to come to the awards night. There's an award for you. So you go to the awards night, and you hear something like this. And the winner of the Los Altos $2,500 Rotary Scholarship is, you hear your kid's name. So the kid goes up, gets the Rotary Scholarship, reports it to the college, which they're supposed to do. And this is what happens. The college is likely to say, thank you very much. That means the kid, it's $2,500 the kid doesn't need anymore, so we'll lower our financial aid by the amount of the Rotary Scholarship. So the Rotary Scholarship, in that case, underwrote the college, or worse yet, maybe the federal government, and didn't help the kid at all. So there's a lot of ways to deal with that. One way would be to first call the college after you get the scholarship and say, I might get a Rotary Scholarship, but before I accept that, I want to know what you're going to do with it. And you may say, we'll just include it. We're not going to, nothing, we'll just take it and good for you, nice going. It's not likely they're going to say that, but they might. Or they're more likely to say, well, we'll reduce our grant money by the amount of the Rotary Scholarship. Well, that's not a very good deal. Or we might apply half of it to a loan and half of it to a scholarship. That's a little better, but not great. So if you don't think it's going to be useful, you might want to then call the Rotary Club and say, I'll tell you what, why don't you put this money in an interest-bearing account, and I'll go to school next year, and I'll come back next May, and I'll bring my grades, and I'll bring another thing. I'll bring the promissory note for my student loan. How about you cut that check to the holder of my student loan and pay off my student loan for me? Rotary clubs like that. That's a reward for doing something. Because when you hand a kid a scholarship, you don't know whether the kid's going to stay there a week or a year. But this is performance-based. And there's other models. If it's a very small scholarship, maybe the best thing to do with it is to take the scholarship, have the person giving the scholarship call the bookstore at the school you want to go to and open up a line of credit at the student bookstore. That's good use of the money. So there's a lot of things you can do. One Rotary Club stopped giving out scholarships, and instead they paid a private consultant to work not with the three, they used to give three $2,500 scholarships out to 3 kids every year, and what was happening is it wasn't being very useful. So instead they paid a private consultant, and they had the school pick 14 kids, because the school knew the kids better than the Rotary Club. The school picked the kids, and the Rotary Club paid for personal counseling for all 14 of those kids. When the kids signed up, only about half of them were going to go to 4-year colleges. About the remaining 2/3 are going to go to community college, and a couple weren't going to go to college at all. But because of the counseling, all 14 went directly to 4-year colleges. And if you took the financial aid that was generated by those 14 kids the first year and multiplied it by 4, that program took the Rotary $7,500 and turned it into over $800,000 in direct financial aid to 14 kids. So it's the old expression, it's better to give a hungry person a fish of your choosing than it means to catch fish of his own. And by mentoring the kids and teaching them and their parents how to navigate the system, that was much better use of Rotary money. But there's lots of things you can do, so I just want to make you aware of the full spectrum of stuff you can do here. There's a lot of tax benefits out there. One of the things you're going to see if you subscribe to, just give us your email address. Every year we'll have an annual survey of all the tax benefits that are related to having a kid going to college, and some of them are pretty profound. And if you use them, and most of you will qualify for them, we're talking about thousands of dollars a year. If you're having taxes, if you're having your taxes done by someone else, make sure your tax professional knows about these kinds of things. Before making any adjustments, there are ways to lower your EFC if you put money in certain things. I'm not a big fan of that because it assumes the financial aid system is 100% reliable, and as you already know, it isn't. But if you want to make any adjustments, make sure you do it in concert with a licensed financial professional so you don't make the cure worse than the disease. Keep all your financial aid papers in a known secure place because you're going to have to refer to them a lot. And keep reasonably decent personal financial records because it almost always saves money.